Shout Factory is always impressive in terms of their television releases, and this month's batch of releases is no different. We're going to start off with what I think is the most exciting of their releases, and that is Sports Night, the complete first season. Now, Sports Night is an Aaron Sorkin show, and it's previously been released as a full series box set. I believe there's 2 seasons of the show, but this is the first season collection, which is obviously now available separately for those of you who are on a little bit more of a budget, and that's a good thing because this is a fantastic show. Now, I was not a fan of the show originally when it aired because I never watched it, but when I got the complete box set to watch, I fell in love with it. It's an utterly fantastic show filled with a great cast, great writing, and great stories. And don't worry, I know a lot of people think you have to be a sports fan to like this show. Trust me when I tell you that you don't. Much like you didn't have to be into politics to enjoy The West Wing, Sports Night isn't really about sports. Yes, there is some sports references in it, but really it's about this group of people on the set of a television station and the interactions that they go through, and it's a perfect mix of comedy and drama, and I really, really recommend it to anybody who hasn't watched it before, and even if you have watched it before, you have to pick up this DVD set. It is fantastic. The only reason you shouldn't pick up Sports Night, the complete first season, is if you already own Sports Night, the complete series. Now, in terms of special features, what you get are the show, which is a big making of that features interviews with Aaron Sorkin and director Tommy Schlamme, as well as members of the cast and crew. And then there's a featurette called Face Off, ESPN's Sports Center versus CSC's Sports Night, which kind of compares the Sports Night show within the show to the real-life ESPN Sports Center. Then you get a Season 1 gag reel and 5 commentaries with the show's creators, cast, and crew. It's a fantastic set. Without a doubt, Sports Night is highly recommended. Next up, we have Mystery Science Theater 3000 Volume XVII. That's 17 for those of you who aren't big fans of Roman numerals. And what we get here, 4 more horribly cheesy movies as skewered by the MST3K crew. Now, the ones we get this time are The Crawling Eye, The Beatniks, The Final Sacrifice, and Blood Waters of Dr. Z. And for the most part, these are pretty fun films, and for the most part, it's a pretty fun set. Although, as I've stated in some of my previous reviews, Mystery Science Theater 3000 has lost a little of its luster for me. I just don't find it as funny as I used to. And The Beatniks in this set is actually a good reason why. I remember this one from when it originally aired, and I remember thinking, that wasn't very funny, even at the time, and I think it's kind of indicative of when the show sort of started to suffer a little bit in quality. But this is a good set, especially for fans of the show. It comes with a bunch of bonus features, and they include The Crawling Eye, a special introduction by Joel Hodgson, Mystery Science Theater Hour Raps on the Beatniks, a brand new interview with Bruce J. Mitchell from The Final Sacrifice, and this one's a particularly fun one, the main event, Crow vs. Crow at Dragon Con '09. Dragon Con's a very popular science fiction and fantasy convention that's held in Atlanta every year, and I always like to see these live events on DVD. Finally, there's a photo gallery from the Blood Waters of Dr. Z, and then you get original trailers, promos, and more. Plus, you get, of course, the 4 limited edition mini posters, which makes the whole package really quite nice for fans. So if you like Mystery Science Theater, this is the next collection that deserves a spot on your shelf. Next up, we have Designing Women, the complete 3rd season. And I used to watch this show religiously when I was a kid. I'll date myself a little bit. I loved Designing Women. It was a lot of fun, even though I think I probably didn't get a lot of the humor back in the day. I certainly do get it now. And while some parts of the show have aged a little bit, especially the clothing and hairstyles, especially from women who are supposedly all about clothing and hairstyles, you can't deny that the show still holds up pretty well in terms of humor. You know, it's a great cast. Dixie Carter, Annie Potts, Jean Smart, even Delta Burke. They're all fantastic. And even Meshack Taylor, who never quite sure exactly why he became as big a sensation as he was for a short period of time there, you can see little glimpses of what it was that made people like him so much in this set. Now, this includes the entire 3rd season. Unfortunately, there are no extra features, but you do get 4 discs, and I believe it's 22 episodes full of the entire show. And if you like Designing Women, you really can't go wrong with this set. Next up, we have Rhoda Season 2, which of course features some guest stars such as Vivian Vance and the late John Ritter. And this is a Mary Tyler Moore spinoff. I'm sure most of you know that, in which Valerie Harper was the lead actress. I don't have to tell most people that, because Rhoda's a pretty well-known show. For me, I love just going back and being able to see Julie Kavner on camera. Julie Kavner, of course, being the voice of Marge Simpson. It's fascinating for me to watch her on camera. I'm so used to just hearing her voice. The show ran for 5 seasons, and It's interesting. I'm not a huge fan of Rhoda, but I certainly don't dislike it. It's kind of like a watered-down version of Mary Tyler Moore Show. I enjoy the Mary Tyler Moore Show. It's a little before my time, but I do feel like Rhoda is kind of like the little sister to Mary Tyler Moore, and I don't think that's an inaccurate comparison. I think even people involved with the show might tell you they felt the same way. So this isn't one I'm going to say that if you haven't watched the show before you should rush out and get. But if you are a fan of the show, of course, it's nice to have the next season on DVD. And finally, we have Adam-12 Season 4, the squeaky clean cop show, if you will, that is now in color. The first season or two, I believe, were in black and white. And, of course, this show was a spinoff of Dragnet, created by Jack Webb. So even though I joke about it being squeaky clean, it's not really. It's just a little bit less gritty than a lot of the TV dramas that are on today. I will say, though, of course, that with Stephen J. Cannell coming along board this season as the head writer and the story editor, as well as the color coming into play instead of black and white, the show certainly takes on a slightly different feel from the earliest seasons. I think this is the best season that I've watched yet. So if you like Adam-12, it's a great box set. There are no extra features, but for a show that a lot of people thought would never make it onto DVD, even though it was very popular, it certainly is nice to see that Shout Factory is committed to bringing out the entire collection.